Welcome everyone to today's webinar, The Value of Postal Codes. Today's speaker is Robert Shingle, Director of Product Management. Robert has been with DMTI Spatial for over 12 years and is responsible for our data offerings. All participants will receive a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to the entire session that can be shared with your colleagues, as well as our contact information and a link to our CanMap Postal Code Suite brochure. You can follow us on Twitter at DMTI Spatial to stay informed on upcoming information sessions, as well as hashtag FSALDU to look for information about the following webinar. Now I'd like to turn the session over to Robert Shingle. Please go ahead.
Hi everyone, today's agenda, we'll look at an overview of postal codes, how postal codes are built, changes that can occur to postal codes, how you can utilize postal codes today with some examples, and we'll cap it off with a customer case study. Okay, so first we're going to look at a breakdown of the postal code. Postal codes in Canada have 6 digits and are alphanumeric. The first 3 digits of the postal code are called the forward sortation area, or FSA. The last 3 are called the local delivery unit, or LDU. Together, that's FSA LDU. In terms of statistics for Canada, as of December 2013 in Canada, there were over 852,000 unique postal codes. And with regards to FSAs, there was over 1,600 unique FSAs for Canada. In terms of postal code availability, postal codes are available through 2 offerings. First, as a data set. And again, this is in a variety of formats, Excel document, CSV, or potentially as a map file or GIS file, represented as points and areas. And secondly, through software, where you, the end user, can take your address database, run it through a piece of software to cleanse and correct and geocode your records for you. For this webinar, we're also going to go through how postal codes are built. So in terms of an overview, first you start off with a database. DMTI Spatial is a partner of Canada Post. Canada Post provides an address database with ranges and street names. And DMTI starts doing work on these to match them to spatial data sources. We match records to our address sources, both our street file and our address points, using rules that we've been building up over the last 15 years. In cases where our matches are not occurring, we research and resolve them through one of our departments and look to seek out those missing relationships through either manual review of the data and reconciliation, or phoning up the municipality and asking about a few records to get those matches to happen. And last but not least, use that intelligence, all those matching all together, to build up maps and fulfill both FSA, postal code points, and polygons. Postal codes can also go through changes. There's a variety of reasons for that. First, the birth of new postal codes, the retirement of postal codes, as well as changes that can occur within the postal codes. Let's explore these reasons in greater depth. Firstly, new housing and residential developments. As new communities are established and new streets are created, new postal codes are developed. Here's a picture of a new subdivision. And it's interesting to note that over 10,000 new postal codes were developed in 2013. This is most likely the result of low mortgage rates in Canada and people wanting to purchase a home rather than renting. Okay. With regards to new infrastructure development, the Canadian government has made unprecedented investments in infrastructure over the past few years. As development of new infrastructure into areas occurs, a postal code could presently reside and existing houses or streets could be eliminated. These are different examples that ultimately result in postal codes being eliminated or retired. So as bridges go into new areas or help bring more traffic to rural areas, postal codes will go through change that are no longer required. Existing infrastructure expansion. Here's a great snapshot of the 407 getting expanded. Expansion of existing highways is another reason as to why postal codes are eliminated or changed, as these assets are expanded into rural areas with postal codes that are going through a period of urbanization. The rural postal codes are no longer needed and phased out or retired and replaced. Expansion of existing streets. As cities continue to grow and expand, our roads and streets follow as well. Change within streets to meet the demands of more people is occurring, specifically in dense urban areas. Postal codes may be added to accommodate new buildings, businesses, and establishments. Great example from inside Toronto along King Street is where a warehouse used to stand has now been replaced by a new condo development with over 200 units. Just want to make everybody aware on the webinar as well of some product changes that are occurring in Canada. With regards to accuracy, typically you'll find postal code products that have interpolated coordinates. So if you look at Google where they're approximating where the house is along the street, that's now been replaced and updated with rooftop level coordinates. Secondly, the coverage increases. So the match rate between Canada Post and various data sets will increase over time as individuals are doing more work to increase that match rate from street to street type matching. And last but not least, additional attribution or value-added attribution that you can find in the product. Specifically, I like to refer to point of call or POC attribution. This actually tells you the number of homes, businesses, apartments, and farms associated with a unique postal code. So how are postal codes being used today? Here's 3 great examples. Number 1, we'll look at how to maximize your prospecting opportunities, enhance current capabilities, and calculate your market share. For the first example, maximizing prospecting opportunities, you can get more valuable insight into your customers and prospects by combining postal codes with other pertinent information such as demographic data. Be able to see which of your customers are located within a specific postal code boundary. Here's a great example represented by the star in the middle of this piece of imagery that could represent a bank branch or retail store location. What we're going to do here is throw up a drive time distance, so that's driving in any direction for 5 minutes. And what we're going to do is to start adding more rich attribution into this area to start segmenting out what the different clients and prospects look like in this area. So this snapshot's actually telling a great story here. In the light blue boundaries, this will be postal code boundaries for the subdivision we've zoomed into. We're using demographics to thematically map the postal code boundaries, and we're using the demographic variable of average income. And we've basically broken that up into ranges to get a different perspective on what the average income is associated with different postal codes. We've also input our customer database, so that's represented by the red dots. So that's where current clients are. And then we're using address points, which is available at the rooftop level, to basically infill where all the prospective clients are. So in this map, in this story here, we can see that our customers within a certain average income value, where they're located, we can see that there's other customers that look just like them in those same locations, and we can extract these addresses to target those specific clients. Okay. Second example here is for the Ontario Medical Association. This is a very interesting way of using postal codes. The OMA needed to build a province-wide database to perform multiple pieces of analysis regarding all doctors and facilities in Ontario. This initiative was partially driven by the needs of various incentive programs that use a rurality index that measures where doctors were located in relation to the population health centers. Again, where's the population with respect to where health services are being offered? Driven by a federal mandate handed out to all provincial medical associations, the OMA needed an effective way to assess access to care in rural areas of the province in order to then place doctors closer to their patients and facilities. So again, the goal here was to build a database for all of Ontario with the shortest drive times and distances between any 2 postal codes in province. So you can imagine that's a very intense type of calculation. When we did the math on the back of a napkin, we figured out that to run this process, this back and forth calculation for all the postal codes just in Ontario would take over 280 years on one server. And again, most of us in the audience are aware of the cloud and big data. What we did here was utilize the cloud to basically spawn up hundreds of servers to take care of this in 3 days and ultimately deliver a database of 142 billion records in 2 tables to the client as part of their analysis project. Third example I'd like to walk you through is calculating your market share. The example I'm going to use here is from the telecommunications industry around cell tower placement. So a Canadian telecommunications company uses in this specific case, postal code boundaries, point of call information, so the number of houses, businesses, farms, and apartments, as well as demographics information. And it's important to denote here that there's two different types of demographics that were used, both nighttime that you typically receive with the census, and daytime, which is typically done by third parties who are looking at the number of people that are staying home and are working in different businesses around the area. And all this information was used to evaluate both new and current cell tower site locations by both the engineering and marketing departments. It's also an interesting fact that came out of this approach by the telecommunications company. They used the postal code boundaries for two ways. One was to measure penetration rate. So to look at the number of clients associated with each postal code and how many more clients they could bring onto their services. And they also used the point of call information in an interesting way, where they took situations where there was just housing associated with the point of call and flagged it as residential, or let's say there was just businesses with that postal code, and actually turned it into a land use fabric as part of their analysis product as well. As part of our case study today in the webinar, we're going to look at Union Gas and how they saw a significant increase to one of their marketing programs with the help of postal codes. So if you're not aware of Union Gas, they're a major Canadian natural gas storage, transmission, and distribution company based in Ontario with over 100 years of experience in service to customers. The distribution business serves about 1.4 million residential, commercial, industrial customers in more than 400 communities across Ontario. Union Gas plays a leadership role in promoting a conservation culture in Ontario in their own operations. The challenge here was that Union Gas wanted to expand its home weatherization conservation program offering within existing markets. The program had previously only targeted customers who were residing in government-subsidized housing, leaving a significant segment of the customer base with minimal access to the program benefits. Union Gas's goal was to broaden the program to reach an expanded audience in the most effective and efficient manner possible. The solution provided access to pertinent third-party data information, such as population density, income level, and individual property characteristics, such as age and size of home, to be analyzed. By using a location to tie all of this information together, Union Gas was able to visualize the optimal postal codes in which to focus their marketing campaigns based on ideal household characteristics. And there's an example with the shifting of the imagery there, where you had a universe around their different sites of interest, and through segmentation, they've actually narrowed it down to a more refined view within that municipality. In terms of an outcome, Union Gas was able to have a 400% increase in the uptake rate of marketing programs after implementing postal codes in their solution, and also experienced a 31% gas savings in 1 year from that specific new targeted segment that was previously unreachable before postal codes were utilized. The program was also able to realize a reduction in natural gas consumption by 11.5 million cubic meters, which is the equivalent of 3,800 cars that would have to be removed from the road for 1 year to equal this reduction in consumption. So for all your location data needs, DMTI Spatial offers location intelligence solutions that can provide you data for the Canadian marketplace. You can count on us for data completeness, data currency, and data accuracy. Okay, we're going to open up the floor to questions. So questions come here around POC, if we just provide more examples. So another term for POC in the market is Householder Plus, or Consumer's Choice. Again, Householder Plus gives you the insight to the number of entities associated with the postal code for marketing purposes and segmentation. And on the flip side of that, Consumer's Choice is the number of entities that are willing to accept flyer distribution, and that's insight into marketing uptake. So that answers that question. Look at another question. This question here about coordinate accuracy, just where we can touch on that a bit more. Again, what you would find in the market typically is that the coordinates are interpolated. Where we're trying to differentiate is adding high precision coordinates into the product so that when you're creating your map for your end user or executive, The coordinates are on top of the building of interest that's associated with that postal code, or one of the buildings that are in that postal code. Another question's come in. Do you offer a postal code product and what's it called? Absolutely. If you look at our website, dmtispatial.com, you'll find the product there, CanMap Postal Code Suite, and there'll be information there, the use scenario brochure, as well as data samples for you to view.
That's great. Thanks, Rob. And stay tuned next week for our webinar on uncovering the value of your database. I'll include a link to register to this webinar in the follow-up emails going out tomorrow, as well as a link to the recording of this webinar so you can share it with your colleagues. Thanks, everyone, for attending, and we hope to see you at our next webinar.